Hey YouTube, it's Mike Peng Gangster, and today I'm gonna be bringing you guys. Sorry about that. I'm gonna be bringing you guys my first ever GG Masters win. We're gonna go through the final table, through the important hands that I played. Now remember, I've already recorded this, so I'm just gonna be talking over the hands, so you guys get to see a little bit of how I play and my strategy behind, you know, the way I approach the final table. Now I do apologize for the bottom, it's because I had to record it, I had to cut it. Guys, bear with me. I'm learning this process of editing and all that stuff, but next time I guarantee you guys it will be done more professionally. But anyways, the first end, we enter the final table with a big stack. We're actually second in chips. There's one guy, P4, G4 up there with 85, almost 86 big blinds. We came in with like I think it was 83 something or whatever what it was. Anyways, standard GTO play if you want to call it, under the gun, open with ace queen suited. Of course, it's always an open. Of course, we are gonna bet the flop. The reason why we bet a small percentage on the flop is because it's the way they like to do it. And then, of course, when it comes to the turn, based on the flop, having Jack King, usually on under the gun open, those are type of cards that basically fit your hand, right? So betting big on the turn kind of eliminates all his draw hands like 10-9 and stuff like that, which there's a pretty decent amount of money here, so it makes a lot of these guys fold those type of hands, like the 10, maybe 10 queen is the only card that would float, and of course cards that already have a hand that's made, right? But anyways, we end up winning the first hand, ends up putting us as a cheap leader. Okay, so again, you guys are gonna see me defend here the small blind with 7-5 suited. Let me know, by the way, if you guys like the way I play, don't agree with certain things I do. Now, for me, the way I look at the game is not really GTO. Okay, I look at the game based on the fact how my opponents are playing. If you want to call it exploitation, whatever you want to call it, I kind of like mixing it up with pretty much my knowledge of the game. So, for example, this particular hand here, we hit the second pair on the river. So, of course, we are gonna bet. We end up choosing, give or take, like a half a pot size bet. Unfortunately, my opponent didn't have the ace here, so he doesn't float. Anyways, again, what you guys are gonna see here, and what I'm gonna explain what I do throughout the process of this final table are based on my own experience of the game. Okay, I know a lot of people want to like play like a GTO style or want to play like the pros and stuff like that. I like to play my own way, and I like to basically take advantage of certain things that I recognize that people are doing wrong or whatever that at least I believe they're doing wrong. It could be completely correct based on the solvers that people want to study. I just don't personally agree with everything the solvers have to say. I do think it is a very good base to learn the game. I don't think it's the most profitable way of winning tournaments if you're just gonna go by the book. I think you're going to have to play orthodox when it comes to final tables. You're going to have to mix it up. So when I walked in this final table, I felt good about the way the whole tournament went. When I got to the final table, I had a big stack. Like I said, I was second in chips. Of course, at the moment, I'm first. Um, I told myself, like, let me see if I could put pressure on the second guy, on the guy with the second biggest stack. If I could do that, if I could accomplish that part of my game, like in this particular tournament, I have a very good chance of finishing top three. Now, of course, I told you guys at the beginning that I've won the tournament, so you guys already know the spoiler that I'm gonna win it. We do get our first knockout there, but that's besides the point. You guys know that I'm gonna win it. The point is for me to show you what I'm gonna do, how I play it and how I win it. Right now, of course, I'm only picking certain hands. I couldn't pick everything because if not, the game just becomes too. At least the video just gets too long. I mean, already 17 minutes. I think for most people, it's pretty long video, right? Anyways, so my opponent over here, I ended up opening. My opponent ended up three betting me. A lot of people would like to three bet when they're in position. So for example, I ended up still calling this three bet with Queen 10 suited. The reason why I still call these type of hands, even if I'm out of position when someone raises me, the only reason is because I have a big stack. If I have a big stack, it's time for me to take advantage of playing extra hands. This is the way I see the game. I've seen people just sit down on big stacks and play very conservative. I don't see the point of that. When you have a big stack, I see the point of like basically playing like a bully, and that's the way I enjoy playing the game. When I have a big stack, I like pushing my opponents, making them decide if they want to like basically call for all their chips and in these scenarios, because they're the ones that are like basically trying to get the next pay jump. So that's the approach that I take when I play with a big stack. Now, of course, when you have a small stack, everything changes. Your range of hands are just not the same anymore, because you know you're in that situation where like most likely the hand you're gonna play is gonna be the hand you're gonna go with, right? So unless you have like 20 big blinds and you still have some sort of game where you could defend maybe like up to like 10 bigs. Well, I don't like playing passive when I have 10 bigs. When I mean by passive, not passive. When I mean by 10 big blinds, I mean for me, once I'm at 10 big blinds and under, I most likely just shove and hope for the best, right? Anyways, in this particular hand, the big stack gets involved with me over here. Now we ended up hitting the jack on the flop. Too bad I didn't really describe what happened throughout the whole hand, but we end up basically betting about 12 big blinds on the river. I don't remember if my opponent calls this hand. I think he does call this hand. I think he calls me with a weird hand, actually. I'm actually surprised with what he calls me with. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he calls me. He's thinking about it. Maybe he's putting me on a flush draw. Maybe he's putting me on ace queen or something, ace king. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what he's putting me on for the call that he's going to do. You guys are going to see the hand that is going to be revealed when he calls me. But these are little things that I started recognizing from this particular opponent, that he was making um, pretty much some pretty sick calls. When I mean sick calls, I mean there's no reason to be calling with the hand that he's calling here. There's just no reason for it. Uh, Hopefully it's sooner than ever, because I didn't remember him tanking this long. But he calls me there, and he calls me with a king deuce of diamonds, which I personally believe it's a bad call, because if he's on the flush draw, less unlikely I'm on the flush draw, right? So less unlikely I have those type of bluffs, right? I could only have the straight draw type of bluffs, but there's not many there. So for him to call me there with the bottom pair king kicker, I don't know, it's just a weird little thing. So at this point, I started to decide to basically put some pressure on the second biggest stack. That was my plan, basically, from what I said from the beginning. If I could basically get the chips from him, most likely I have a very good shot of either winning the tournament or finishing top three. So we're on the button, big stack, of course. We decide to 3-bet to 5 point something. I like to use usually a 5.5 big blind 3-bet when someone opens at 2. So we do decide to continue betting here, because of course once we 3-bet, Jack Queen definitely fits our hand. Of course, that's not what we have, but we're gonna definitely put in at least one bet in. So we do put a 4 big blind bet. Unfortunate, this is gonna be one of those hands where my opponent, I think he raises me here, and we're just, of course, just gotta let it go, right? Because there's no point in continuing here. I was hoping that maybe he was gonna like, like float with some type of weird hand, because I've seen him play throughout the before the final table, and he was floating or at least calling with a lot of like mediocre hands. So I figured maybe I'll try a little 3-bet and see if I could get him off that whatever hand he had there, but it looked like he hit, so he ends up winning that one. At this point, we have about 100 bigs. We got 5-4 offsuit. Again, I'm targeting the big stack. He's the big blind, so we're gonna open up with 5-4. Why not? Let's mix it up a little bit, especially under the gun. Um, I guess a lot of people don't see 5-4 coming. Of course, these type of hands, you're going to have to hit flops, right? But hey, when you win a tournament, that means things went well, right? So we have the 5-4 over here. We end up like hitting the trips, like pretty much like we end up hitting the nuts, right? It's very unlikely this guy has another 4 in his hands, right? Or a better one. Um, so we end up checking the flop, because instead of betting it, I was gonna think about betting the turn here. Um, I said maybe if I bet the turn, he's gonna believe me more that I have the queen. I didn't want him, like I didn't want to bet the flop, because if I bet the flop, it kind of puts me like on a pocket pair most of the time. So basically by checking there, he puts me on less pocket pairs, and by betting the queen, he puts me most likely on the queen. If he has the queen, maybe he floats. So we end up betting a big bet on the river here, almost full size pot, but we do a bit under just to make sure that we could get a call. If I remember correctly, he does call again. Like I said, my opponent seems to like never basically fold a pair. So this is a thing that I've noticed, and you're gonna end up seeing what's gonna happen eventually. That's basically gonna make me win the tournament. Is this guy over here? Like I see, he calls with Queen Seven of Diamonds here. Um, is it a back call? I don't think it's a back call. I just feel like he calls pretty much any pair he has. So once I started realizing that, I was attacking. Um, I was basically attacking his big blind pretty much every single time. Of course, in this particular hand, I had the plan to do the exact same thing here with 9-8. Unfortunate, freak weird here. Short stack ends up shoving for 10 big blinds. Of course, we are not gonna follow here because PG4, whatever his name is, ends up going all in. So good luck to those guys. This could be the second pay jump that we're gonna get because it's queens versus king 9. I remember the queens held over here, and we end up losing our 8th player. So we get our second pay jump here. So we end up going to what was it, 900 something? Or we're already at 900? No, 1,200. My apology. Sorry. That's the third guy we lost. No, or was that? Wait. That's the third guy we lost. My apology. My apology. We lost somebody else I didn't realize. So anyway, here we end up. This is the hand that basically makes the tournament for me. That basically, well, makes the final table. We end up defending with 9-7. I guess he got fed up with me like always raising his blind. Of course, he ends up being in position here because he's the button. So we end up checking twice or trip nines here because there's just no point in betting. I want him to bet. He does decide to basically, I think he bets this turn, right? I'm pretty sure he bets this turn. He doesn't bet it for much, but he does bet. He actually bets it pretty big, 4.2. So of course we're not gonna raise because I rather, I rather just call and hit like quad nines. But no, the reality the reason why I'm calling there is because once I raise, it's very easy for him to put me on a 9 at that point. So I figured, you know what, might as well check. At this point, I told myself if I check, he's gonna bet, and I shove, he's gonna put me on basically the 9 every day of the week. So I figured if I put a little block bet, he's gonna put me on that jack. Now, if he has the jack himself, he should raise me, right? But he's actually gonna have way better than a jack here. So once he rips 27 big blinds in, I don't even hesitate. I just basically put it all in. I know he's calling me because, like I said, like even the other guy next to me, he's laughing because this guy does not fold a pair. So once he ripped 27 bigs there, I knew he had better than jacks. Like I knew he had better than a jack at this point because no one's gonna raise you from two big blinds to 27 if you don't have a pocket pair in your hands. Of course, this guy will tank because it is a big decision, of course, because there's all these little stacks around him. So he's kind of like debating if I'm making a move here or not. Of course, we all see my hand here. We're not making a move, but like I said, based on uh, my time playing with this particular opponent, I knew he was gonna call. So this is why I didn't do no time tells. I just went straight for the raise because I knew he was gonna call me 100% of the time because he's there. Basically called me every single hand I played with him. He had a pair. He called me every single time. Like that's what I mean by sometimes you play GTO and sometimes you basically play with what's happening with the opponents on your table. If you notice someone is just basically never folding a pair, might as well best like maximize your value off that particular person because they're just gonna basically they just don't know how to fold, right? So like this could be an easy fold for this guy. Like if I'm shoving here, you can't put me on a jack, right? You gotta put me on overs or the 9. That's it. Or I have pocket jacks, right? And it makes a better full house than the pocket kings. I know people look at his hand and say, well, it's hard to fold pocket kings here. It's actually pretty easy to fold pocket kings here because if someone's shoving that particular spot that quickly, he's basically telling you that he has it, right? Either he has the nine or he has pocket jacks and he's beating your kings. Um, he just basically punted his tournament there because he ended up finishing sixth. I think it's a punt, but then again, we see what it is. Here we got 8-7 suited. We open. A guy shoves for 13 extra blinds. We're calling. Once we have a big stack, we're basically trying to eliminate people. That's my way of thinking. I know that whenever I'm calling with a hand like 8-7, I'm always gonna be underdog. But as long as I'm getting my 40% equity in for flips, I'm good enough. I mean, um, I could basically shove every fucking hand at this point and just call everybody with any two cards. As long as I'm getting 40%, I have a pretty good shot of knocking them out because the, the blinds, I have so many big blinds at this point, might as well just push it all in, right? That's the way I approach it at that point in the tournament because, like I said, the hand that basically made the tournament for me was the quad nines, eliminating the big stack. You know, when two big stacks meet up, it's pretty much over. Here, my guy on my right ends up going all in, or not really all in, but he ends up raising 4.5. We end up going all in with King Jack, of course. Like I said, we have 150 bigs. Again, we know we're dominated. We're not dominated. We know that basically we're underdog going into the flop, but it doesn't really matter. We end up hitting trip jacks. We end up eliminating the third place. And of course, now that we're heads up and we have about 160 bigs, the price is 5,300 for first, pretty much. So we end up deciding to take a deal here. I end up taking 5,000 because you never know. You could always like end up losing the heads up matchup. So I decided, you know what? I'd rather take 5K than actually have a potential chance of actually losing $1,000 and going to 4K, right? So we take the deal. I end up playing this hand where we did decide to play for the batch. So we do hit our trip sixes over here, and he leads on the turn with a 5. We end up pairing the board, so now we got a bolt. Now we're just hoping that this guy has a straight or a flush. Of course, we're shoving, and he ends up having a straight, and we end up winning our first Ggmasters. Now this is the $25 tournament one. Like I played this tournament, I don't know how many times, but a lot of times. These are hard to win, I find. There's a lot of people in these tournaments. This one was almost 1,800, so there you go. That's the way I won my first Ggmasters tournament. Finally, I end up getting one of those badges. I never had one before. Of course, this is not my biggest win ever online. I have way bigger ones than this, but it's still nice to have my first badge playing the game. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'll be coming out with more videos soon. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.